Alright, so in this video what we're going to be looking at is a really useful piece of software that's called Voicemod. Now, essentially what Voicemod allows you to do is it allows you to apply effects to your audio in OBS or in vMix live rather than just being able to do that pre-recorded, which is really handy for lots of different things. And the main reason that I wanted to use Voicemod or demonstrate Voicemod essentially is because there's a free version available. It's very easy to use and set up. And also, I think the paid version, you can get what's called like a limited license, which lasts for 2 or 3 months. And I think it just costs a couple of quid. It's very cheap. So I'm going to launch Voicemod now, and we'll look at some of the settings and some of the different effects that you can use, and also how it works with OBS as well. Okay, so you could download the Voicemod software from the website directly. By default, it downloads the free version, and then after you've installed it, you can choose to upgrade to the paid version if you wish to. There are quite a lot of free features with the free version, but it just depends what you want and how many different effects you want to unlock, basically. The main difference is the number of effects that you can use, and I think also the number of sounds that you can trigger. The first thing I'm going to do is actually launch Voicemod, and I'll talk you through the initial kind of setup. Okay, so when you launch Voicemod, the first thing you're going to see is a bunch of options up here for custom voices and effects on the right hand side here. But we're going to ignore everything now. The first thing we want to do is go into settings and make sure that everything's working properly. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open the audio assistant, which has a test that's similar to Zoom, and will just get you to check your microphone and check your headphones. And then when you hit continue, it will actually run through one of the effects. You won't be able to hear it now because I'm using a different recorder that I'm going to overlay. But at this point, you should be able to hear the Voicemod working. If it is, then just hit all done. But most of the time when you install Voicemod, it will pretty much automatically pick up the correct settings for you, or you just try whichever different options you have until you find something that works. But as long as you can hear yourself through your headphones and Voicemod can hear you through your microphone, everything should be fine. The next thing that we want to do is we want to flip over to OBS, and we're actually going to add Voicemod as a source within OBS. So right now by default, OBS will be picking up my system's microphone and headphones, but that isn't going to work at the moment because we're running Voicemod, which is kind of overridden OBS. So what we need to do is we need to start taking our audio feed direct from Voicemod rather than from our system within OBS. And the simplest way of doing that is to add it as a new source within OBS. So as we've seen before, we just right click on sources to add a new source. We're going to go to audio input capture. So right click on sources, go to add, and then audio input capture. And I'm just going to call this Voicemod. And hit OK. And then we can actually select Voicemod as a device from our list of devices. See, it's there, microphone, virtual audio device, and hit OK. And there we can see the signal is coming from Voicemod through to OBS, and we can see it's working because it's in the audio mixer at the bottom. Okay, here's the bit where we can start having a bit of fun and messing around with the different effects that are within Voicemod. So flipping back to Voicemod, essentially where you do most of the work in here is in this top section called the voice box in the top left here. The bit where Voicemod will really start to shine is with its ability to create different voices, all completely live whilst you're broadcasting. So let's switch on the cave voice, and now I've got this really big echo going on, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's have a go at ogre.
Oh, sounds like an ogre. No, I am a robot. I am an android. Beep up 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 up.
Okay. So it's really, really quick and easy to completely change your voice and to use a character or to create a character. So the next thing I want to show you with Voicemod, and this is actually when it becomes more usable and a little bit less gimmicky, is we can actually customize the intensity of each one of these effects. So if I switch on Cave again for a second, so now it's really, really loud, really, really weird. But if I reduce this setting called Mix, and then I also drop the reverb, see, it's much more subtle and much less obvious. And then it becomes much less comical and a bit more usable. And this is the same for every single one of the voices, the pre-built voices. You can change the intensity of each one of them and customize them as much as you want. Let's go back onto clean. Next, let's have a look at Soundboard and what you can do in there. So Soundboard is where I can add any custom sound effects or noises. This isn't for creating custom voices or for changing live audio. This is actually for triggering sound effects. Again, it's dead easy to use. If I want to create a new sound effect, I'll just hit this plus button here and select the audio file that I want to trigger. I've just found some canned laughter. And then I can assign a shortcut to that by clicking Add Keybind and then pressing the key that I want to be the shortcut. So I want the shortcut for canned laughter to be Shift and F1. And you can see on the right hand side, it's now saved that as a trigger. So now that I've clicked off, if I hit Shift F1, we've got our lovely canned laughter there. And this will work with almost any audio clip, anything that you want. You can record a whole bunch of audio clips onto your phone of different sound effects that you want to use, copy them onto your laptop and add them all onto your soundboard. And I don't think there is actually a limit. I think the most, I've had about 20 to 30 different sounds on there before and I didn't hit the limit. So you can have quite a lot. So the final section I want to show you is what's called the Voice Lab. Here we've got a whole range of options for different effects that we can enable or disable and essentially create our own custom voice box. Okay, so I'm just going to switch on reverb and see how that sounds. Okay, that's some really, really, really heavy reverb. Way too much for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that right down just to make that reverb less intense. And then, once I've made the changes that I like, I can hit save. So that's now been saved as a new voice in my voice box. So if I go back to my voice box now, I can click on this custom voice and it will add that little bit of reverb. And then in the top right corner, I can actually change the name of it. I'm just going to call it Reverb Light. And I could also add my own custom picture if I wanted to, but I'm not going to bother doing that for now. And then you can even add a keybind to the custom voice as well. I'm going to do that. Have that as Shift F2. So really, I think the thing to remember with software like this is that although the presets themselves, the built-in sound effects are a little bit cheesy and they're a little bit too obvious, I think with a bit of tweaking and creating a rack of custom voices and some custom effects on your soundboard, this software can be really, really useful to add a bit of a boost to those production values. Okay, so that's really all I wanted to show you on Voicemod. It's really, really useful and it's a lot of fun as well, and I think a lot of your students will find it a lot of fun. Those are just the basic functions, and if there's anything that you can't figure out or you want some help with, my email address will be at the end of the video, so please don't hesitate to get in touch and I can help you with whatever you need.